who you are, where you're from, and all that good shit.
Yeah, man. So as you know, so I'm out of Charleston, South Carolina. I could really tell you where I'm from, but I usually just say Charleston because nobody really knows where Russellville's at. It's one of them, small towns you drive through and you blink one time and you pass through it, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
So that kind of deal, and man, every year we just started doing a rutcation trip, and my buddy Kane got me into bow hunting around 2017, and man, it took off ever since, and that's that's been my bread and butter, so to speak. I'm in my truck actually, as you can tell.
Yep.
It's the quiet spot. Yeah, I got two.
Yep.
I
Sometimes
got
you gotta just pick the only quiet one.
That's right. I got three kids. I got a teenager and two little ones, and one's a 2-year old, and I just had my son about a month ago, so they're in there rooting around making noise somewhere. So I said, well, I'm gonna go to my quiet spot, and that's my air conditioning Dodge. So
Congrats, man. Congrats on the baby.
thanks, bro. I mean, it's definitely a learning curve. So works out great, especially when it comes to hunting because I'm already used to not really sleeping anyway. So
Yep. The good old saying is, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." I believe that saying is
oh
how it goes.
you absolutely I sleep when I'm dead. I say, definitely go with that one. But
So talk a little bit about rutcation, because I mean, I know a lot of people in PA, a lot of people we talked about, they like hunting during the rut. So when you go on rutcation, what's all involved in that?
well, for starters, let me back up a little bit. Like I said, so 2017 rolls around. My buddy Kane works with me. I actually work for the utility, the power company in the area, and work on high lines. So I'm in the right of ways all the time, and we're in the right of ways all the time and whatnot. So, once he started with me or whatever, and I was kind of a hunter, not so much into bow hunting because I've never did it. And he was from PA, moved down here and whatnot, and he told me, so why don't you come hunt with me one time? I said, okay. And I get to his house, and he hands me this bow. It's a old PSC, and he's like, here, you take this. And he's shooting a nice, Hoyt Defiant and all this other stuff. Gives me the leftovers, so to speak. But the hand-me-down, right? So he's like, you're gonna use this today, and I'm like, all right, shoot, why not? I never tried it. And we went to this piece of public, and man, I remember he's like, because I don't know nothing about maps, don't know nothing about trying to piecemeal. I just know I like being in the woods. That's about it, right?
Right.
And because traditional hunting in South Carolina is way different than pretty much anywhere else. They still allow, dog hunting, dog drives, and that kind of thing, and baiting, and I mean, August 15th rolls around, you can use a rifle from August 15th to January 1st.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's a very long. Now, public won't come in until September the 15th, and that's when you can actually start shooting does and stuff like that. But but I guess a similarity would be is Sundays. You still can't hunt public in Sundays here as of right now. They're working on a few extra dates and stuff like that. But other than that, that's how it works on private land. And the big thing is to have a hunting club, so to speak, which is basically a lease from different companies, Alcoa and stuff like that, a lease out their land, that kind of good stuff, right?
Yeah.
But so he takes me to the Francis Mary, and I'm like, okay, and he shows me this Google map, and he's like, just go to this field right here and just find you a spot and set up, and me and Butler is going to go down here in this marsh. I'm like, okay. And after learning over the years, I know why he sent me there, because going through the marshes and stuff, that's a learning curve in itself.
I'm sure.
So I remember, I go with them, and I got that 100-pound aluminum, climbing stand that, the ancient great stuff back in the day before all these saddles come out and stuff, right?
Yep.
And I'm walking a mile back with that stupid thing on my back, and I'm already pissed off with that. I'm like, gee, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing this? And then I remember sitting in the corner of a field, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is cool. Pull my bow up and lay it across, and I'm looking at the field. A couple hours go by, and a doe stepped out across the field and all that. And I mean, he's over 100 yards. She's way over 100 yards from me, and I'm just remember thinking, man, this is stupid. I can't shoot that thing, And I mean, this is just retarded. What are you supposed to do with there? But I went with him again, and a couple times I remember getting that first kill, and it's that one that you just felt like you did cocaine or something. You're shaking and all that. And it was just a little doe, and but boy, it was on then, and I was hooked. And so, and he's always went to November back to PA where he was from, and he started inviting me with me. And next thing one thing led to another. And we got a little group, and it's him, me, his cousin from Miami comes up, and his dad's retired military. He's in the military as well. Matter of fact, he's on deployment right now, so he's going to miss the rut this year.
Oh.
Yeah, it's his turn to miss it. I missed mine in 2020 when I had my daughter born on November the 1st. I made that Valentine's Day meme come true,
Yep.
Well, I got lucky this year because my baby is going to be born on right now February 14th.
Well, so there you go.
Yep, I planned it out.
Just like the woods, timing is everything. And
yes, exactly.
I would be the one. I screwed it up one year, so there's that.
Everyone has a misfire once in a while.
That's right. I told him, I said that I just needed my break, but that's all it was. I actually ended up killing my buck that year in October here, so it actually worked out pretty good. So
there you go.
But after that, we just started going. Every November we'd pick a spot or whatever. So we started hunting. Like I say, he's in military. We actually started hunting Fort Knox. I don't know if a lot of people know about Fort Knox or not. Fort Knox is great. Gets a lot of pressure, and you have to know how to really work around that, But there's plenty of public land around it too, so you can have the best of both worlds,
Right.
So we started off with that, and I got my Kentucky buck. I don't know if I sent you the picture of that or not. In 2018 is when I got that one, and he was right at 120 inches.
Okay. Nice. It's a nice buck.
But yeah, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
And then, so we hunted Fort Knox. That would be 2 seasons in a row. 2019, I ate tag soup that year.
Yeah.
And then I had my baby the next year, and then last year I went to the PA, and now if I can just find my spot where I can move to PA, I'd be there in a heartbeat,
Yep.
So you would want to move from South Carolina up to PA?
Well, put it this way, we joking around all the time. They tell me all the time I'm a beach boy stuck in a mountain man's body.
Yeah.
So I said, well, whatever works for you. But I tell you what, it's different. I mean, it's like right now, it's 8:20, and my truck says it's 88 degrees outside still. So
yeah,
that's always great.
The temperature wise is a big difference from South Carolina to up here. I mean, it's still hot up here right now, but it's like in the high 70s, mid 70s, something like that, compared to down south where it's, like you said, 88 degrees right now in your truck. So
absolutely, absolutely. Oh man, South Carolina has some of the worst humidity, and I don't know. I can't really validate it too much, other than when I go to the Midwest or something. That's completely different. But just like Kane's right now, he's when they go to their training and stuff like that in Louisiana and Texas, he even told me, man, Texas is not even as bad as South Carolina. So just the humidity alone, and and our state bird, the mosquito. But but
I hate those things.
oh,
The worst.
let me tell you, I went on a scout mission the other day on a piece of public so we got this one piece of public around here. It's about an hour away from me. It's open
Mhm.
4 days out of the whole entire season. You got a Friday and a Saturday here and a Friday and a Saturday there to hunt it, and it's archery only. And I
Really?
said, by God, I'm gonna scout that. I'm hunting that this year.
Mhm.
And man, whew, it was so bad. I think I scouted out on a Friday. When I got home, I ordered a mosquito suit from Amazon. It was there on Sunday. So,
Oh my God.
geez,
So what?
so I'm basically walking around with a can of bug spray. I'm only scouting, so I'm
Yeah.
not really too worried about it. Just soaking down, as I walk.
Mhm. Yep.
But
What? Why is it only open 4 days to hunt? Is there a reason behind that? Like what kind of reason behind that is there?
that particular WMA is, see, they do. Our DNR does some different things for sure.
Right.
That particular WMA is the Federal Wildlife Service,
Okay.
not actually the Department of Natural Resources. It's basically a bird sanctuary.
Okay.
That kind of deal. So every now and then they'll open up to public hunting, and but it's usually something like that is archery only,
Mhm.
which are great for me,
Right.
and us or whatever, and very little spots until you start getting to the upstate, around like York County and stuff like that, Game Zone 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They have an archery season that's pretty extended,
Okay.
pretty comparable to what you guys get. But down here, it's a free for all, pretty much.
Yeah.
Come August 15th. So, and
Okay.
but that's just how that works. But
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Cool. Like, because I haven't really looked at South Carolina at all hunting down there. So is it primarily like most people bow hunt down there, or what's the primary hunting technique down there in South Carolina?
absolutely not. If you're a bow
Okay.
hunter, you have a heart for it, and that's pretty much the way it goes. Now,
Okay.
I have noticed over the years, especially since I started getting in archery, for sure. It's definitely one of the things that caught on.
Mhm.
Still not so much. Dog hunting is still quite a tradition, for sure.
Right.
And you'll probably never see that go away entirely, which, I mean, it
Mhm.
doesn't affect me at all, so it's fine with me. It's just not
Right.
my style. And you can hunt a lease land or private land, and you can bait it with, corn or whatever you
Okay.
got, and, you use whatever you want. A rifle, if you got a bazooka, by all means, go ahead and take it out there and try your best. But that's pretty much how it works down here. If you run into another bow hunter, he either moved here from a different area or just picked up the hobby, pretty much. And
Okay.
granted, and just like anywhere else too, crossbows that's the new thing catching on. So,
Yeah.
which is definitely good for the older guys for sure. They can't pull a bow back or anything anymore or stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
but
I think it's
that's
good for the entry level people too, getting into
absolutely.
it, like getting into archery. Like Ethan, you never would have got into archery if you didn't get a crossbow.
No, I have a crossbow, and
Mhm.
I still use it to this day. But that's the only reason why I got into archery
Mhm.
in the first place is I got that.
And for
Right.
me, I mean, that was my entry into archery, but now I got bitten by the compound addiction bug, and now I'm just like, that's all I want to do. Like, I honestly, like, I might go out 1 or 2 times for rifle this year. I might just take the bow out every single time during rifle season.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I like it that much that I might be doing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
PA is a big rifle tradition state, just like South Carolina's big tradition state with dogs. PA is like
The Orange Army.
hardcore Orange Army
That's
tradition.
right. That's what
Hardcore.
I've
And I
learned.
still love it. I still love that. You know, you I don't know if Jonathan, I don't know if you ever took dogs out or not. Did you ever take dogs out, like being from South Carolina? Did you ever take them out?
I've never owned any like dogs, beagles, or walkers or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. I've gone with a few buddies and stuff, and I basically did it twice, and I mean I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever done. But I don't know, man. Something about that stick and string is just that's the heartbeat right there, you know.
Well, it's for real. Like it's once you pull that back, you know that you're in complete control.
Absolutely.
You're either in complete control or not in control at all, right, Patrick?
Exactly.
Patrick knows that too well.
Patrick knows that too well.
Yeah. No, even getting that close. I think even just getting that close to a deer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, during the archery season, we went up a couple weeks ago to Cody's cabin to check cameras, and
Mm-hmm.
I said I have a hang on that I wanted to set up and just kind of sit and, you know, do an observational sit. I had deer, a couple doe come in within, I'd say, 40 yards. I mean, it's not even hunting season yet here in PA, and my heart was pounding, and like, I was getting
absolutely.
excited. It's just because they got that close. Like, you don't get them that close during rifle season. So to get them that close sitting up in a tree, that's something else.
And see, that's the drive that most people don't even understand. You know, guys like you and me. You know, you're in a tree or whatever you're doing, ground and pounding, whatever, and you're getting close to these animals. You know, and that's where, you know, even growing up, coming up here, you know, obviously I hunted with a shotgun or either a rifle. And you know, I've killed plenty over a corn pile or just, you know, whatever, walking around eating acorns or whatever they're doing. You know, 80 yards out, 90 yards out. And you'll never do that with a bow. Unless you're Cameron Haynes or something, they got a fantastic shot, you know.
Right.
You know, I won't ever do it because, you know,
no.
he can pull it off. But
yeah,
you know, you just lose that that feeling, like that edge or whatever. And then if you pick up a bow and you put it in your hand, and to me that's just, not to mention I learn more. I learned way more picking up the bow because you have to. You have no choice.
Yeah.
You have no choice but to scout. Yeah, I mean, it's part of it, you know.
Well, I mean,
you know?
you don't really. I mean, I'm sure people scout for rifle season. You know, like if all you do is hunt rifle, I'm sure you somehow scout for that. But like most people who scout are out there scouting for archery because like it's you need to put in the work because you need to get, like Ethan said, you need to get close to this deer.
Right.
To be able to take a shot at, to be able to get a clean shot at. So like that's the biggest thing. It makes you feel more connected to the wilderness and like just nature in general. Take you back to your roots kind of deal.
That's exactly right. And and you'll fail more than you succeed, and that's just part of it. You'll have a lot more. You know, we joke around all the time. You imagine how many bucks would be on the wall if we did use a rifle or whatever at any time. You know, we have a bow in our hand, and we're like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Make the local taxidermist real happy. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. They'd be a lot more happy if everyone just used rifle 24/7.
That's right. Yeah. They'd be happy, and we'd have a lot more unhappier wives. But you know,
I was literally just thinking that the wives would not be happy with us at all.
That's right. Yeah. You should have seen the eyeballs I had on that thing when I walked in the door with that PA buck and hung it on the wall. It was something else.
Man, but it was a really nice buck. Like that's the thing. Like this buck. Okay, before we get into the story, did you get it scored?
I have not scored it yet.
Okay. All right. Are you?
I actually did not even intend on picking it up anytime soon.
Okay.
Because when I dropped it off with Dan and them, he was like, yeah, it'll be November this time next year before you can pick it up. So I wasn't even expecting for him to call me and tell him it was done. And you know, like a kid in a candy store, I was like, yeah, I'm coming to get it, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
So he called me Friday, Saturday, I was there, you know. And that's when we was rushing kind of, and
yeah,
you know, I was about to have my son born and all that, so I brought him in the house and we hung him on the wall, because I actually moved my Kentucky buck over so I could fit him in the right spot because it was just cattywampus.
Yeah.
And
Placement is interesting.
so yeah, and
So this buck. Okay, so before we get into the story, the rutcations. How many rutcations have you taken since you started doing the whole archery production thing?
let's see, 4.
4. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I
So
think 4. Yeah.
what states have you gone to for your rutcations?
Kentucky and PA.
Okay, so that's it. Okay, so then the other 2 were in South Carolina,
Pretty
I
much.
imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when you go to these states, when you go to Kentucky, Pennsylvania, that kind of stuff, are you doing e-scouting or are you going there like over the summer to scout, or what's your process like when you pick a state and you're like, okay, this is where we're going to go, this is where we're going to stay, these are the public areas around here, what am I going to look for?
Okay, so our very first when we decided we was gonna hunt the rut in November, Kentucky, Fort Knox, all that good stuff. Me and Kane actually went in March and scouted. We were able to get away one weekend. It's like a spring break or something like that, or whatever, with my kid or whatever. So we was able to get away and like literally just scout, and we went around like madmen, just running, trying to cover as much ground, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And that worked out good for hunting Kentucky. I take that back. It's actually only 3 rutcations we went on. We went to Kentucky twice, and I went to PA last year. And I missed the 4th one. That's the one I missed because of my daughter being born.
Okay.
But they went 4 times, excuse me. When it comes to PA, it's great. Our, Stu, who grew up with Kane, he lives in PA. He's around the West Newton area.
Okay.
You might even know him. He's very popular with the trout fishing. He's a freaking animal when it comes to that. That's that Trout Stew. He's on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah. We follow him. I looked at some of his stuff, and he has some real nice trout in there. That's for sure.
The dude's a freaking animal. He's all around. Both of them. I mean, we all have our strengths for sure, but I mean, he's probably scouting for deer while he's trout fishing. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, guaranteed.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
So he knows how to get on them too. So, and we learn from each other and all that good stuff. But if I had to say, there's one thing, and I was prepared for that question actually when you said that, I guarantee you guys, is map scouting. So when I started this, Kane was pretty much he knew how to read these maps all really well. Stu already knew really well. A couple of us, Southern boys, I realized real quick, I said, all right, if I'm going to do this, I really have to sit down, study these maps, and just really try to figure out what the heck I'm looking at. You know what I mean? It's actually it's honestly a little easier here to read maps. I use Onyx and base maps. I actually have both, and I'll tell you why. When I'm up the road, well, where you guys are, I'm pretty much on Onyx.
Okay.
Down here, I'm pretty much on Onyx, but I'll swap over to base maps as well. Okay. And reason being, as you can imagine, we got all these marshlands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you get good at reading maps and stuff like that, and you hone in on these marshes, and you can really pinpoint where you need to be. It's sort of like being in Michigan or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all I had to do was basically learn the hill country stuff. Like, and start with the basics. Don't make it difficult. You got your saddles, your bluffs, your benches, all that stuff, all your topo lines, reading, your draws,
right.
all that good stuff. And I would just study this stuff, like religiously, Like I said, we both work for the utility company. We're driving to a job, we don't care about what's going on. He's over here on his phone, or either I'm riding and we're on our phone. handing me the phone. Hey, what do you think about this spot? You know, where would you go?
Yeah.
And it's to the point now. It's kind of funny. We always laugh because I'd be like, I would probably go right here, probably aim this direction on this wind or whatever, and he'd be like, that's exactly what I was thinking about doing and stuff.
Yeah.
So we almost landed each other. We did it out there on a hunting trip one time. We didn't talk to each other one time before we was going to go. We basically ended up in the same spot almost. And we were like, I knew what you're doing, you know.
Yeah.
But it was kind of one of them deals. But man, I tell you what, if there's anything, if you know anybody's looking to go out of state, go out on an out of state hunt, or even where they're hunting at, is the best thing that's ever come out since hunting, besides, in my opinion, tree saddles now, is maps, Onyx, base maps. I mean, some people have the Hunt Stand or whatever you use. Spartan Forge is a new one or whatever. I mean, it's there at our disposal. I mean, you learn to utilize it and you study it like you're taking a test for the next, you know, best job you can get or something. You will master it, you know, and Stu's so daggum good. Yeah, I joke with him. The buck he killed last year. Yeah, you know the saying, you can't kill him from the couch.
Yep.
He 100% did that last year. You know, I killed my buck. We had another day. We hunted or whatever, and I scouted while they hunted and that kind of good thing. And then that evening, we're all looking at his, you know, maps, whatever. And he thought, I'm gonna go right here, and I'm gonna kill a buck there. And that's what he did. He went straight to that spot, exactly. I mean, straight to the pin, straight to the tree. You know.
Wow.
Yeah. And he called me at 7:10. Craving, I just shot a buck. You know.
Yeah.
So, and he killed a nice one too. And matter of fact, I think he just got it back from the taxidermist as well. He just sent me the pictures on it yesterday.
Wow.
But utilizing maps, and then on top, you know, obviously going to nowhere, and, you know, never scouted there, never been there, took a few tips from Stu. But sometimes I just went with what I know, you know, which is here, which is, you know, swamps, you know.
Right.
We start looking at maps, talking about our first day where we're going. I'm like, Stu, where's the swamp at? That's where I'm going, you know. Those swamps, those meadows, the people that steer clear from them because they don't want to walk through them and all. You know, I know y'all listen to Dan Infault. I know y'all listen to Mark Kenyon, all them talking about running through the marsh and all this to get to these islands and stuff like that. That's exactly what we have to do here. The great thing is about up there is you don't have to worry about getting eaten by an alligator doing it, but
that's
you know.
I mean, the biggest thing you got to really fear up here in PA is maybe like copperheads, rattlesnakes. I mean, I wouldn't even be afraid of like bears and coyotes really in these woods.
No, they want to stay away from them.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I've learned too. I've yet to see a bear up there either.
Yeah,
and
it's something else. I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah,
I'd like to. That'd be cool. It'd be cool to harvest one actually. I know I hear it's a challenge for sure.
It's it's like I think 1% of hunters, I think it was that get a bear
in PA.
In PA.
Yeah, it's a real small percent,
Yeah.
single digits.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like almost like an elk drawing here in PA. Like you might get one year, and that's the only one you're going to get the rest of your life. Like that, I think that's kind of what it's compared to. But then there's some people who up in my cabin, they get one every single year.
Yeah, and they walk 10 miles back too to get it.
They walk their ass off to get a bear.
Right.
Like, we walk a good distance. I walked a good distance this past year for bear, but it wasn't anything like the Amish do or anything like that. Like they have drives they put on. One guy walking through the woods by himself, sitting in a big valley. You have to be in the right position, the right time for that bear to come through.
Yeah.
Like it's especially up where my cabin's at. It's big mountains, kind of like the Allegheny National Forest. I would say I it's pretty similar. I think I never been in the Allegheny National Forest, but I drove through it, and it kind of reminds me of up near our cabins.
Yeah.
Just
the next door neighbor.
yeah,
Really?
big mountains, big terrain, lots of public. You can go anywhere. That it's definitely similar.
Yeah, that can. You can definitely see the challenge in that too, especially since from what I hear, they can wind you pretty far out,
hmm
which I can believe that for sure.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's what is it? It's a combination of like the bear can smell real good, turkey can see real good, and deer have just a little bit of both.
hmm
I figured if bear could see like a turkey and turkey could smell like a bear, we'd never harvest anything.
Oh no.
nah,
We want. Yeah.
I'd stick to fishing or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Do
That's all
something
I
that
could do.
I actually
Yeah.
could succeed.
I
at.
don't think the fish can smell me, and I can listen to the radio or something while I do
Yeah.
it.
All right. So you got the buck in the Allegheny National Forest,
Correct.
right? So you said this was the first time you ever stepped foot
That's right.
in this 100,000 acres of public land,
That-
and you harvest this freaking beast of a buck.
That's
Like,
right.
walk us through the process of everything, honestly, from start to finish. Before you even like, if there was a process you did scouting beforehand, what you're looking at on there, what you're looking for, and then the whole way up to the actual story of this beautiful buck.
Okay. So, I get there on. I want to say I got to camp on a Sunday, if I'm mistaken. I don't remember if I'm mistaken on that or not. But either way, so one thing we do, we get to camp, get situated, yada yada yada. And it's a recommendation that I'll tell you to do or whatever. Drive around, take the roads, take them tram roads, get used to the area, see what you can see, because it's going to be overwhelming at first. So you're going to be like, holy moly, what this is going to suck, And you're driving these roads, and you look left, and there's a hillside going way up, and then you look to your right, and it's a timber cut that looks like no man's land going down into the bottom,
Yeah.
But just like anything else, my first hit was in the morning. Yeah, I had to ride there on a Sunday because that Monday morning was the first hit. And I decided I'm going to take it easy. I'm just super excited to be in here. I want to be in a tree. Never step foot in here. Let me find a decent spot on the map. And me and Stu looked at it. And I said, well, this was like a good spot. Good little hardwood next to a meadow. I'm just going to set up here, get a nice morning sit, and get comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was a good, and that was a good sit. Had a nice little buck come through, and a doe come through right there. And but just like anything else, I'm looking at these maps, and here's this meadow, and here's this timber cut, and here's this draw. Let me start placing some of the things that I do back home up here. I mean, you guys give me a swamp on top of a ridge. I'm in the best of both worlds right now. I want to be in hill country, and I know how to use these, thickets and swamps pretty dang good. And shoot, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
And I started getting on deer. Definitely had a good first morning hunt, and the evening hunt that day, I got skunked. I didn't see nothing. But that first morning sit that had that buck come through, what I did is, let me back up too. So we'd hunt in the mornings or whatever, based off what we were seeing and what we were doing, and while we were still kind of waiting on everybody else to arrive to camp. You had a couple guys going to show up a day or two late.
Right.
What we would do is, hunt, get a good hunt in, get a feel, see what's happening, see what's going on. Because first, you got to see what the deer are doing.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, you expect to see them, going crazy, running around looking like zombies. That's what you want to see.
You hope so.
Right. That's what you want to see.
On a
So,
vacation,
yeah. So, we'd hunt, and based off what we'd see, we would pretty much, all right, hit each other up. Hey, let's go scout.
Right.
And what he did, I had him meet up with me. I said, let's go scout where that buck went, where the first one I seen.
Mm-hmm.
And which was a beautiful buck, by the way. It looks like something out of one of them. I mean, he was bigger than the one I killed, mass-wise. And,
Really?
it looked like one of them pictures of Steve Shirt shares all the time or something. Some crazy mythical creature.
He has some monsters on there.
Yeah. I just needed him to walk one of them out on a leash for me one day and just,
Yep.
Just
well, you're out of state. You're out of state. You could go up there and book a hunt with him.
That's right. Like a guide sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then I lose all my credibility.
That's true. Yeah.
But,
yeah. So it's a win-win or a lose-lose.
That's right.
No middle ground.
Yeah. Man, to be honest with you, of course, nobody wants to eat tax soup. Everybody wants to get a kill. But, man, I just love being in the tree. I love being in the woods. If I go on a trip and I don't even harvest anything, I was blessed to have that week off away from the grind. And the main thing, and you guys even hit on it in your last podcast about, hey, you're not worried about nothing. You guys, y'all were talking about going to camps and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You're going to camp, and I think one of your wives or your girlfriends or something asked you why you like doing that or whatever. And you're like, man, I just like being. It's your home away from home in the woods, and you just connect with everything and forget of everything going on in this retarded world we're living in right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And but. So I get up with Stu. I get him to get up with me. I said, let's go scout. We looked at the map, and we kind of like, okay, he might have went here. Let's just follow these trails, follow these tracks, and go to where we think he's going to go. And there was a good thicket, old timber cut, that was probably exactly where he was going. And it was ate up, pounded with trails, sign, I mean, you name it. It was definitely a doe bedding area.
Oh, perfect.
And like I said, it is a thicket right next to a meadow. I mean, just couldn't work out any better, and so that worked out good. And that evening we went and hunted a different spot altogether, and I didn't see nothing at all. I think he might have had an encounter or whatever. The very next day, I'm like, well, I'm gonna go where I seen that buck go, and I'm gonna just step down one, a little bit further, and try it. And this is gonna make you laugh. So I go and I cut through this. I basically walk down this drainage ditch and pop up and get a nice tree. And I'm sitting over the spot. It's quiet. The squirrels are barely making any noise that morning. And finally, I'm up in a tree before dark or before daylight, and about 11:30, I'm just bored out of my mind. I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Yeah. It's one of them days. The Red Bull done kind of wore off. It's time to recharge. So I get down and I put my platform away and all that stuff, and I make my way back to the truck. I said, I'm gonna go make me a sandwich today and chill. Yeah. So I get to my truck and I park my truck in this like ridiculous spot. Like, wouldn't make sense for a deer to be in any kind of area, anything. It's open. There's like tree, random tree here, random tree there, stumps everywhere. They just logged it probably last year, that kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
And I go to the back of the truck and I lift my tonneau cover up, put my tailgate down, I set my bow down, pull my cooler out, and I start making me a sandwich. I have my release, I always left it on.
Yeah.
Well, for whatever reason, when I opened the doors of my truck, and I got a black truck, and that sun was beating it made it hot. It was pretty warm that day. So I rolled my windows down, I took my release off and set it on the console. And I walked back there to the back, and all of a sudden I'm making a sandwich, and I hear like that, and I looked around and said, what was that? And I looked up, and there's 3 does standing in front of my truck, like 30 yards off to the right. I'm like, dang, look at the does right there. And then I look up to my right, and there's this, I mean, a tank. I mean, every bit of a 160-inch class buck standing there looking at me. And I'm like, I had the deer in the headlights look myself. And, you know, he's real wide, real massy, but has short tines, but just a cool looking deer. Chocolatey rack, very dark chocolate rack. I mean,
nice.
Just a beautiful buck. And I said, he just stood there and stood at me. And I know he's seen me. Them does are steady looking at me like, what the heck is this guy doing? And I said, okay. So I walk up to my truck and I grab my release. And he's sitting there watching me the whole time. Wind is down. My wind's blowing right at him. I know he's got to smell me. And then I walk to the back of my truck. My bow's sitting right there. And I grab my bow.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this dude's still standing here. This is about to really go down.
Yeah.
And I knock up an arrow. I said, well, if he cuts across this timber cut right here, I might go ahead and try him if he'll sit still. I started walking to the front of the truck, and I think he realized, okay, this he's up to something. I better turn around. And that's what he did. He turned around about face and bailed off, and he was gone.
Oh, man.
And, I mean, it was just a beautiful buck, and knowing me, I wouldn't have got the shot off anyway. I don't have that kind of patience. Especially when it comes to, if there was one thing I had to improve on, or I'd love to improve on, and that would be my ground game. You know, being able to stalk up. If I could be the next Zach Farrenball, that would be wicked.
Well, I know here in PA, I feel like stalking up on a deer in PA here is extremely hard to do.
Absolutely.
It's not like out in like Kansas or Nebraska or something like that where it's like flat or, you know, you have this tall grass you can walk through and hide underneath. Like, you got to use the trees and like try and hide behind them, and then hopefully that deer is behind a tree as you find the other tree.
Yeah, you're stepping on every stick and crunchy leaf possible.
There's a squirrel that runs off and screams at you in the tree, and then it just if someone stalked a deer in PA here, they're a fucking beast. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Like that's next level shit right there. That's.
Yeah. Well, I told y'all that that was just a funny little story that happened, and I was like, because ironically, that buck was headed exactly where I was sitting. I just wasn't getting any action. I was bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I was just antsy. Second day being there, I want to cover some woods, you know. And if I'd have sat my butt right there, I probably would have got him. And he was bigger than what I killed. You know, not complaining or anything at all, but it was definitely a beautiful buck. And but it was just I bring that story up because one or two things I wanted to share with that is one, that buck was so fixated on them does, and it just goes to show when they're in this rut mode and they're in that zombie mode. I mean, guys, you're talking. I got my windows down, my cooler open. I'm making a sandwich. I'm walking back and forth from the front to the back of the truck and grabbing a bow, and he's standing there looking at me. This is a 160-inch buck. Yeah. You know, he didn't have a care in the world other than sticking with that one of them does that was hot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, and it just goes to show, you know, they get in this zone, and you know, this is 11:30 in the day.
Yeah.
It also really changed my mindset as far as hunting the middle of the day. It really opened my eyes. You know, obviously, you want to hunt in the morning, you want to hunt in the evening. That's the best time. Yeah. And it is tough to sit in a tree all day. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what climber you got, saddle you got, you know, golf cart you're sitting on. It don't matter. It's hard. It's hard to sit all day and hunt.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is.
It is.
But that's why I tell you all that. I tell you this, you know, something about you know, you hear guys talk about it all the time. Sitting midday, could definitely be productive, and it's one of them things where I look back and I told myself this year here, one of them mornings when I'm real tired and been grinding all week already or a few days already, I'm gonna sleep in one morning, then I'm gonna try to walk in the woods at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and just try it. Rest of the day in a nice hot spot, in a nice little saddle or something. You know what I mean? And just see what happens. You know.
Yeah, I mean, if you Ethan, you have something to say?
I was gonna say, do you after that encounter and you thinking that buck was actually coming to you, do you pack your lunch now and take it into the woods with you when you're sitting, or?
Yeah, that changed my mind on that too, because I was like, dang it, Bo, if I'd have just stayed where I was at, I could have. Now, granted, would he ran right in front of me? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
Would I had a way better chance of killing him? Absolutely. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm out there in the back, with a can of Jif and a butter knife, and I got a 160-inch buck 50 yards away from me that I could have killed. You know, if I just stayed my behind right there where I was at. But anyway, hey, it's just one of them things. I guess you live and you learn.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So,
well, I mean, buck during the rut are very, very stupid. They're blinded by that tail. Some may say.
Oh, absolutely, and they're locked down. If you look on my little on the channel, you'll see even when we were driving around to scout some more spots or whatever, we called it the guardrail buck because we was coming around the corner and that's buck, and he was already locked down with a doe. We seen him one day and then turned the very next day, same spots, everything, same buck, same doe. And that's why we give him the nickname the guardrail buck, because, he was not leaving her side. You know, he bred her and he was going to stay with her for 2 days and move on to the next one. And
gotta love it.
But being able to scout in the middle of the day, that's a huge benefit too. And so getting to the point of, I'll fast forward a little bit because that was earlier in the week, and this was another 3 days later when I killed the buck. To get to the point where I killed the buck. So come Friday, pressure started picking up.
Right.
Guys joke with me all the time. They call it the craving spot because this spot made no sense. It was ridiculous. Pressure started picking up. I'm driving around. Here it is, 2:30. I'm looking at spots on my phone, on my map. I'm like, this looks like a good spot. This looks like a good spot. This looks like a good spot. And I drive to all three of them, and there's a truck parked on the road beside it. And I said, well, there's another hunter thinking the same thing I am. That's where he's at. So I said, dang, it's already 3 o'clock. I said, I just want to I just need to make something happen. And there's this spot up by the road, and everybody's driving by it. It's a fresh cut down, clear cut beside it. And the way it sets up, it was a very skinny pinch that dropped down, going down into a ravine with a clear cut to the right. And on the probably 150 yards into the wood line, there was this drainage. So, and I didn't know that before I even stepped in there, but I said, screw it, I'm going to hunt right here. Everything looks good on the map. I'm just going to try it and see what I go in there.
Right.
So I stepped in the woods. I parked my truck by the road, and trucks are driving by. I mean, hillbillies passing by with the music blaring and all that. I'm sitting there watching them the whole time, But I get in this little block of woods, and I started looking at the signs. Man, this sign's hot, Fresh scrape, a couple old scrapes, a couple little rubs, and the sign I look for the most is right there, and that's droppings.
Yeah.
When I enter the woods, I mean, you can see buck sign and all that's well and good, My go-to is I look for shit. I'm gonna call it what it is. I look for that, and I look for tracks. That's gonna tell you, hey, deer's in the area, and in the area recently. The crap still had that little bit of green tint to it, so I was like, oh yeah, something definitely done come through here recently.
Yep.
And, it's something stupid people probably wouldn't even think about. But I'm like, hey, that's a telltale sign. They're using this little spot, and they're cutting through here. Now, it would make sense a little more for them to where I was sitting to be behind me, but because of that timber cut, I said, well, if something drops down off that point above me, which we basically got the rock road, it was a little tram road or whatever, and going up on the top of that is a little knob up there where there's a nice big old meadow up there as well. I said, if something's going to come down and go to that thicket and go down to that bedding area, he's going to come through here. Because he's not he's not going to walk down the road like a retard. He's not going to do that.
Yep.
And he's not going to go through the open timber cut, all easy peasy too, in daylight. He's going to at least hug the edge of this little thicket or little wood line. So I got in there and I found a nice tree. I said, well, and I pinned myself up against a drainage ditch because he's clearly not going to come against that. I mean, there's rock and all that. I said, if something comes through here, it's going to have to come right through there. And sure enough, I mean, it was about 30 minutes to dark, and it was kind of funny because I laugh at myself all the time, and I'm sitting there, been grinding all week, right, and I'm hanging in my saddle, which I got the trophy line covert, by the way.
Cool.
Best thing ever.
They're very comfortable.
Very comfortable. I had the tethered one before, and I was like, I had that hip pinch and all that crap, and the covert, man, it's a game changer. And I'm sitting there on my tether, and I'm just leaning up against it like this, and by then, been 5-6 days in a row, and I'm second guessing myself. I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong, dude? The sign is here. I know I'm getting on deer. I'm pretty much seeing a mature buck, whether it be in the truck or in the tree or scouting or something, every single day almost, somewhere, somehow. And every time I hunt, I'm just doubting myself, right? And another 10 minutes later, I looked and I seen him coming down, just dropping down. And sure enough, he cut in right behind me. I grabbed my bow and wheeled around and did a full send. And it was one of them shots too, where it was like, oh man, I smoked him.
Yeah, you felt it right away that you were like, oh, he's going down.
Yeah, so I didn't even second guess it or nothing. It was one of the, you always second guess your shot. I don't care. You always like, even if you do smoke him, you're like, oh man, I hope that worked or whatever. This one, his reaction it was just perfect. And brand new bow too, PSC Evo. I just bought it for that season. I slung one arrow, and it was at that buck.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Breaking
one for one.
Yeah, christening the bow the right way.
Yeah.
And shoot, I didn't even. When I shot him, I sat in the tree and I texted the guys and got down, got my sticks all down, and mind you, I could see my truck pretty much the entire time. I'm not 150 yards off the road.
Yeah.
And so I get into my truck and now I'm waiting on the guys, and they pull up and said, where'd you shoot him at? And I said, look down in there. You can still see my red lighted knock on the ground, looking going down into the ravine. It just happened to be cockeyed. I didn't even go. I just stood the arrow up right where the last blood was, which is right where I pretty much shot it when I quit looking or whatever.
Nice.
And you can see it through the woods, plain as day.
Yeah.
And he's like, you shot that thing right there? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, daggum, another craving spot, eh? And they joke with me about that because I did the same thing in Kentucky.
Yeah.
So my Kentucky buck, I'm learning, figuring out what these guys know. The pressure there was ridiculous. It would be nothing to turn down a rock road, and there'd be 5, 6 trucks not parked on the road, parked together. You know what I mean? It was Fort Knox is great, but man, does it get pounded. But on the flip side, on a side note, real quick, with Fort Knox, you get a Fort Knox buck tag, and you can also get a Kentucky public land buck tag. So you can tag out twice in Kentucky in 1 week if you want to.
That's nice. That's nice right there. That would be nice. Yeah.
But it's just whatever you want on your plate.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're hunting that, and this is the first big buck I killed. But before that, like I said, I pulled up and there's 5, 6 trucks. All this pressure is going deep. They must have been listening to some podcasts for sure, because everybody's 5, 6 miles here, 8 miles there, and I'm like, daggum. So I turned out
that's our ploy, though. That's our ploy. Like we want to tell everyone to go deep so we can stay close, so that we get the big buck, because they're all going back and getting like the 120s, and we want to stay out and get the 140s to 180s.
You dang
so
right.
That's why they're all going back in far.
This is a 3-year-long ploy.
A 3-year-long ploy.
Big buck for us.
All hunting podcasts are in coots together to tell everyone who listens to just go deep in the woods, and that's it.
Right. Go as far as you can and leave the parking lots to me.
Exactly.
And, but essentially, that's exactly what I did. All these guys are going back, and I was basically hunting people, and I'm like, man, to the point I was getting frustrated. I want to be away from people. For one, that's why I come from a hunting trip to begin with.
Right.
And I go up here by the road, and I see tracks crossing the road and all that. So I said, I'm just going to scout around here then. I run through a couple CRP fields and all that. Major highway, interstate running right by there. Bunch, CRP fields, straw fields, and whatever, broom straw grass. And then there was a nice little short section of a nice little oak ridge. It has oak acorns, all that good stuff, and a doe bed and thicket behind me with some cedars and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was like, screw it, I'm going to sit right here. And sure enough, I killed that buck. Everybody was going back, and shoot, it pushed all the deer up to the road. And I was like, well, here you go. You hear Dan Infalt talk about it all the time. Everybody overlooking these parking lots, overlooking these spots.
Oh,
yeah. You got these
100%.
spots that doesn't make sense at all. And here I've did it twice. Both rut trips, I'm 150 yards away from the truck.
Yeah.
After, grinding it out and climbing, 3 or 4 ridges over and doing all that first, and go ahead and getting that out of the way. And then I hunt by the parking lot and shoot a buck.
So the PA buck, how far was the shot?
How far was the shot? Probably 23, 24 yards. It was a chip shot.
Oh, sweet. Was he broadside, quartering
broadside? Perfectly broadside. Man. And if you have a chance to check my video at the end, I just started the whole self-filming thing, and which I want to make a note with that. Anybody that self-films, my hat's off to you. It's harder than you think. You can only you already can imagine. Hey, it's definitely a difficult task, but it's way harder than you would absolutely think. And I didn't even get that buck on kill because I was getting close to the end right there. And but in the little video I got or whatever, we got him hanging in a little skinning shed and stuff like that. And you can see the shot placement then. And it was great, man.
Great shot placement. I watched the video, and that's great shot placement.
Yeah,
where he was like that was double lungs. It looks like.
Oh yeah, it torched him, and and that was the rocket hammerhead.
Okay, all right. Is that fixed or is it
mechanical?
Okay.
And I actually when I started
that's what I'm with right now. If I want to go fixed or mechanical, right now I have fixed, but I don't know what I want to do because I know mechanical they fly better compared to
absolutely
your practice tips. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
you know, that's an argument that will never be settled. That's about like our government right now. It'll never be fixed.
Yep.
One guy's going to say this, and one guy's going to say that, and my only thing I can say is just do what works for you. You know, every bow shoots different. Every bow feels different. Every arrow, every broadhead flies different. In my opinion, I've tried different broadheads. When I got started with this crap, I wanted to make sure I had the best of the best. I don't even know if I still have it, but there's a piece of plywood in my backyard against the fence that's got like 5 different type of broadheads stuck in it. I wanted to see if it would go through it and whatnot, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like the Grim Reaper or the Viper Slick Trig, you know, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
If you ever need one, I got one. We just have to dig it out. And but I will say, I could never. My first bow was a Hoyt, and I could never, for whatever reason, get the fixed blades to fly right with it. I just, no matter how I did it, tune it, spin the arrows. Yeah. Now I will say that's why I started shooting them rockets, and which I really do. I've got a lot of faith in them. They've worked for me.
Yeah.
But I will say I would venture out to try them again with this new PSE I got.
Okay.
I'm really confident in that bow, in the Evo, to where I would try it. I mean, shoot, I still got arrows with broadheads on them, so I just ain't even tried to try anything different, you know, for right now, and it works. So, shot placement is definitely key, for sure. But I mean, if you get some of them, you know, hardcore, you know, 1/4 and 2 shots or something, I mean, you might want a good fixed blade, like what them guys on the Hunting Public are using or something, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm on the, I guess you could say I'm on the fence still, but I'm kind of leaning more towards mechanical right now. I just have to find the right ones I want to go with. And I mean, I still have some time before the season starts. I mean, right now what is it? August 30th. So I have a month to figure it out, really.
Right.
And I mean, I haven't really even shot my bow in probably 3 weeks. No, 2 weeks. When we were up at the cabin, I shot it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm good out to 60 right now, and I don't really plan on taking anything more than a 60-yard shot with my bow and PA here. I mean, I don't think I would ever take this. Yeah.
You'd be hard pressed.
You wouldn't even be able to see that far. Yeah.
No, I mean, I wear contacts and I don't have 20/20 vision, so I can't see that far.
This is why he started.
40 is the furthest you can go. 20/20.
Let's be honest. Let's say 15. No, I mean, but like 20 yards, perfectly broadside shot, like that's like what dreams are made of, really, in archery season. Like that's what you dream of.
Oh man,
you dream of that buck coming 20 yards, or 20 yards are in, perfectly broadside for you, and you just put the hammer down on him.
Oh man, it was such a good feeling, and like I said, it was one of the things I mean, it smoked him, and I was like, okay, he's done. To where I was chill, I was excited, obviously, but I wasn't no concern whatsoever. You know, the guys get there, is he down or whatever? And I'm like, oh, wherever he's at, he's down. I promise you that. And now he went further than I thought he would have. You know, these bucks down here in South Carolina, you know, they're obviously not that as big body wise. You know, clearly. And it just, you know, for one, a deer is a tough animal to begin with, and them bucks over there is just so tough, and they just got such a will to live. I mean, he still ran 100 yards, and it was very impressive. You know, I was like, dang, but I can't believe it. Because he got me worried a little bit when we started tracking him, and Butler found him. I was like, okay, thank God. So, but yeah, you know. You get back to them, you know, broadheads and all that. That's shot placement is key for sure.
Oh yeah, yes.
But you may not always get that opportunity as to get that perfect shot placement. You know, I mean, you might have to stick it in the front just to get the
Oh, yeah.
kill, you know. Just
Yeah.
make sure it's
I mean,
ethical and do the right thing. That's all you got to do. It'll pay its
yeah,
dividends.
I mean, there's even people out there like shot placement. I think shot placement is the biggest thing, and people don't really want to admit to that. There's a lot of people who don't want to admit to shot placement is the key to archery hunting, but it is. It's the key to everything. Doesn't matter what kind of broadhead you use. Doesn't matter anything about that. Doesn't matter how much you're shooting out your bow. It's about the placement and the distance of that shot. And it's deer have been killed with field points before.
Exactly.
Like it's about the shot placement. Like the hole's going to be much smaller, yes, with a field point, but it's still possible. Like you can kill a deer with damn near anything
Right.
that you shoot
Well,
out a type of broadhead.
Some people start arguing the whole broadhead thing. You know, the Indians did it with a sharpened rock. So
Right, exactly.
let's call it what a spade. You know.
Yep.
They killed even bigger. The bison.
Yep, they killed even bigger animals with just that. With
Absolutely.
that rock. So I mean, it's very possible. It's going to be a debate that's always going to happen. But I think everyone who listens to this podcast has to realize that, hey, just buy what you can afford, buy what you want to use. Don't listen to everyone else saying, oh, you got to buy this $120 single blade for one arrow. And it's like, okay, no, I'm not going to do that because my wife would kill me if I bought $100 one broadhead.
Yeah.
And they're out there.
Yeah.
I know they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I started shooting them rockets, it's funny because I was watching when I was trying to figure out what gear I was going to go with and try or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually watching. This was a couple years ago when Greg Clements he was still with Midwest Whitetail along with the other two from the hunting public.
Yeah.
And there was one of his videos. I was watching his hunt and I want to see it for a hunt, but buck come in or whatever, and he shot it, and it went just under his belly, and even he was like, "Oh man, I totally screwed that up. I'm never gonna find that buck. I didn't even hit him. I probably just skinned him or something, you know, basically knocked the white hair off his chest, and that was basically it." And I was like, "Oh man, that sucked." When then he gets down, he walks over to where he shot it, and he sees blood, and he's like, "Well, dang." And he walks, I don't know, 40, 60 yards, and there's the buck laying there. And that 2-inch cutting blade, one blade caught that chest plate just enough to where it opened up like that and skinned across the underside, right underneath his chest, and was able to hit artery or something and killed him. Like magically kill him. I was like, I'd have never gotten that lucky, you know?
Yeah, jeez.
But
never.
I said, well, shoot, I'm definitely trying that broadhead, and apparently, I mean, you guys being from PA, y'all probably should know rockets were a big thing back in the day or whatever.
I know my dad used a lot of muzzies. I think he still uses muzzies. Muzzies are that's what I grew up around as muzzies. Muzzies and there's one other. I think it's called a stinger. I think it's called. I don't know why that's like the old stingers.
Yeah.
I know about them. My dad used those two a lot. Now he's transitioned to rages, which I mean, I started out with rage with the crossbow, but with crossbows, it's different. It's very different because it doesn't matter what kind of. Really, I mean, you look at my deer I got last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Something cheap off Amazon. It went through it, but it was terrible. It was a very terrible broadhead, and you should never use that. But I mean, you have so much velocity behind that bolt coming out that it doesn't matter what's on the front of that because it's going to open up or it's going to cut meat no matter what when it hits that deer.
Yeah, because I use a fixed blade. I use Blackout.
Yep.
Okay.
I've been using them for. I think I shot my doe 2 years ago. I had the Blackout fixed blade on, and it went right through. It took out. Actually, it was a heart shot. It just took a nice cut right through the heart, clean through. I think 15. It was like a 15-yard shot. And I was like, she ran 40 yards and dropped.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I like Blackout. And I just stuck with them ever since. It works.
Don't fix something that's not broken.
Exactly.
So what would be, John, your your tips to listeners for a successful rutcation, put it that way. So a full week, someone's going to be taking a rutcation. What is let's go with your biggest tips to the listeners.
All right. So you say you what? You want to go for a week?
Yep.
Well, one thing, if I make a statement right here, I think everybody can agree on, regardless of how long you've been bow hunting or whatever. Most of you guys that go on a rutcation, go for a week. Ask them. They don't get on a deer. It's say a Monday through Sunday or deal or whatever. It's usually Friday or Saturday,
Yep.
the very last minute that you think everybody says down to the wire, when they finally get on these bucks or they finally get a kill or whatever. And I think that's something we can definitely all agree on. I mean, even both my big bucks is both a Friday or a Saturday kill after hunting all week. You know. Now, I'm not saying you can't kill one on the first day because it happens all the time, right? You get
yeah,
you know, but
you get lucky sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things is you got to have luck for sure. I mean, majority of it is luck. You can't make that buck walk out in front of you, right?
Yep.
But you can do whatever you can do to put yourself in that right position for when he does come, or what you think's going to happen. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I could have very well set up right there and not seen a daggum thing that night. You know. But I mean that's every hunt. How many times are you seeing a deer or a nice buck, shooter, or whatever on a hunt? How many times do you get skunked? You know, the guy.
More than you count.
Right, you lose more than you win. That's for sure. But it's when you win that makes it successful. It makes it well worth it. But just like y'all's last podcast, James was talking about that 20% statement he made. You win 20% of the time or whatever. He's absolutely right on that. He's 100% right on that. But if I had a suggestion, and for one, all right, so here's a tip. First thing I would do, and this is something I had to make myself do too, is like a morning hunt, especially.
Yep.
And all of us talk about this all the time. Don't be in a hurry to get to your spot and just get in a tree. Scout your way in, and it's fine if you're not in a tree at come gray light. It really is. I used to be in that mentality, man, I've got to be in a tree. I got to be right there with a bow, ready to go. When that sun comes up, I'm ready. Right. But, man, more often times than not, I'd realize real quick that I'd put myself out of the spot, out of the right tree, you know, whether it's 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 or 40. So what I started doing was kind of getting in the vicinity of where I would like to go.
Right.
And wait until that little bit of gray light, then trying to kind of scout around a little bit right where I thought where it would be good, and then pick your tree that way, for sure.
That makes sense.
So morning hunt, absolutely 100% I would do that. I probably, unless I know where I'm going or been to a spot before, I'm not getting in a tree before daylight or until after gray light anymore. It's just because I've screwed myself so many times in the morning.
Yeah.
That I just told myself, you know what, hey, once you get out the truck, you're already hunting. You know, regardless if it's dark or not. You're scouting yourself in. You got your headlamp on. You're doing what you're trying to do to put yourself in the kill spot.
Right.
So, you know, and slow down. I mean, you're already hunting, right?
Yeah. You're just gonna make things worse by rushing in there. You could jump deer up, and then they're gone to the next bedding area, and you won't see them at all.
Absolutely.
It's very smart. I like that.
And that's just. And that's one of the things you learn from experience. You learn from screwing up, you know, walking in with your headlamp on and then all you see is eyes looking at you, and then you blow it all up, and then the hunt's over before it even started.
Yep.
all because you didn't take your time.
Yeah.
And then, with mornings, I love a morning hunt. I don't know who wouldn't like a good morning hunt.
Oh yeah.
Man, wait, that sun coming up and cold air breathing out your mouth, a little smoke around you and stuff. It's just a good feeling. And then, but I would definitely do that in the mornings.
Okay.
And that way you get away too. Obviously thermals, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You get away with a lot more. So when I think of a good morning set, morning, midday, whatever, I'm thinking does.
Yeah.
I don't, it's all well and good to know, hey, bucks are here, or you think a buck is here, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And especially from last year's trip, just like I said earlier, with the, seeing these bucks in the middle of the day, how it really changed my mind on that.
Yep.
I'm looking for doe bedding areas. I'm looking for where does are gonna go. You wouldn't go to a gay bar looking for a woman to take home. So
it's a very good point.
Like
I'm
looking
where
there.
hey, I'll tell it like it is. You know what I mean? So so I'm looking and thinking of where do I think the does are going to be, not so much where a buck is bedded, because more than likely a buck's probably going to be on his feet anyway in the morning.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, during the rut. Yep.
Yeah, and for sure, and you got, if you can stick it out middays or whatever, like that story I told earlier. I try not to get out of the tree until 2:30. If you can help it, it's tough, man. It really is. But if you can do it and pull it off, stick with it. Now, if you think you can capitalize more from scouting versus sitting in a tree a couple more hours, then climb down and scout.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That paid off really good. And come that Sunday, we were hunting in the morning. We would scout, and then we'd find a spot to hunt for that evening. Or if we ran too late, we would just continue to scout hunt that evening. Never did get in a tree or nothing. That worked out great too. I did that a couple times. But utilizing Sunday, everybody wants to take a break and all that. Man, that's the best day you can be in the woods. That's when
Absolutely.
You need to be scouting. You need to be running through there like a madman. And with at most, if you blow some does out of a thicket, guess what? The does are going to come back for sure. And guess what? Guess what's going to come back? What's going to come back and look for him? He's going to come back and look for him. At least that's what I feel.
Yeah.
And so I would definitely utilize Sundays for scouting more so than anything. Then not to just anytime to let off the gas just yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
so where can people follow along with your next rutcation? YouTube channel, Instagram, all that good shit. Where can they follow along with you to keep up with your next hunt?
Well, I'm gonna try to put everything I can, because everybody was kind of like, man, you need to keep up with this stuff, and that's how I started the whole little YouTube channel anyway. Because I never was like, I just kind of want to keep it to myself and enjoy it and all that. Not so much. I mean, if a guy got a question or something and I can help him, absolutely. People help me, I want to help them. But I was fine. I'll start filming this stuff and make a little YouTube channel. Maybe have a little fun with it. And but you can kind of watch that or watch the Instagram. I had my first hunt here last weekend. It turned out to be a dud. But granted, it's still 90 degrees outside too. Ain't much moving right now. But I just couldn't wait anymore. I had to get in a tree.
I don't blame you. I would be in the street too if it was 90 degrees outside.
We had a cold front. It was 85, not 95. So that was our cold front. So I was like, oh man, I got to get in the tree.
Oh man, these deer are gonna be moving.
Yeah, and I saw 10 raccoons.
Oh man, that sounds about right.
That's about right. Yeah, about 30 minutes before dark, I heard a ruckus, and I was like, oh yeah, here it comes.
Grabbing the bow.
Getting ready, and next thing you know, a raccoon's climbing the tree beside me, and 7 or 8 more on the ground.
Oh my
And
god.
but I actually went off I went to try to get this. I set a camera up. That was a private land spot. It's actually I got one spot that I got permission on, and other than that, I done lost all of them because they're either a development or something now, and not too many people want to let you hunt their stuff anymore. So
Yeah. No.
get permission. So basically, it's set. Season comes in. Yeah, we got a little bit of family land I can get on, or that one little spot I got left that Mr. Morrison lets me hunt. And other than that, it's public land comes September the 15th, and that's about the only option you got for the rest of the year for me,
Yeah.
until I go out the road or something.
Okay.
And I checked the camera that I left out, and I had a nice little buck coming out right at 7 o'clock. And I said, well, shoot, I'm going to try to get him. And he outsmarted me Saturday. So, but I did get a hunt in, so that felt good. And
There you go. That's all that matters right now.
Heck yeah.
Yep. It's practice for the big games, what I call it. The big games when I go out the road.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
But something you guys talked about in your last podcast is trail cams.
Yeah.
And I wanted to run this idea by you because I learned this from y'all might know Johnny Stewart or follow him up there.
Yep.
A lot of people know him too. But I actually learned this from him before he became like Instagram famous. When it comes to these trail cams, it's all well and good. It's fun to get trail cam photos, and who doesn't like seeing a nice buck on their camera, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
But something that I changed and started utilizing too with the cameras is putting them out and letting them soak. I don't even mess with them. The cameras I just pulled, if you look on the Instagram page, I posted a couple of velvet bucks that I got. That camera was put out in January.
Yeah.
And I let it soak till now and kind of, find out what's in the area. And, if you got a camera you want to put out and monitor them while you're hunting, that's great too, obviously. But if there's like a bedding area that you think a buck is living or something like that, and you just really want to kind of hone in on, I think there's more benefit to putting that trail camera out, just letting it soak in the area, and then checking it after season while you're scouting or you're at your postseason sign, and checking it that way. See what he does, learn from what he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he more likely ain't going nowhere.
Oh yeah.
Especially like farmland and stuff like that. Listeners with farms and stuff like that. How many times y'all see the same buck over and over year after year?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. There's definitely some cameras I have out that are soakers for next year, and however long they're going to sit there until I maybe would hunt that area for sure. I mean,
or you forget about them.
Or forget about them
over here.
until guaranteed.
And save it on your Onyx. Camera's here.
Well, I have so many waypoints on Onyx that I'm like, man, I'd have a conversation with Onyx, seeing if they can change something up where I can just start fresh.
You can't even see the map anymore.
Yeah, I can't see the map anymore when I'm zooming out. It's just all waypoints.
Looks like chicken pox or something on your screen.
Yeah. It's like, it's chicken pox.
Yep, that's what we had to do. Stu his screen was like, we'd mess with him. We're like, but how do you see where you're going? You don't, all you see is a red dot, And he marks everything, But I mean, it works, whatever works, and works out great too. With the trail cameras, as far as letting them soak in an area like I'm at, you're seeing one thing you're going to see where I'm at. It's pretty much the same thing over and over. So you got different seasons clearly where you all are at. You might have a buck in this area, fall and winter. When it comes summertime, completely different area. Gone, right?
Yep.
Here, it seems like public land here, they really don't have too much to go from. They stick to the marshes, they stick to the wetlands.
Okay.
And if you put a camera up where we're at in these swamps, you're probably going to see the same buck over and over through the same spot all year long.
Okay.
Which works out great. I'm not sure if that would work out like that up there in them swamps or not, but you never know. If they depends on where they feel comfortable, you know. They're gonna stay in that security.
Yep. Yeah, it could work up here in certain areas, but I don't think that would work out too much because they do travel a good amount. They have winter and summer homes up here because of the drastic temperature change up here.
Oh, absolutely. And them deer don't move up there when it's hot. Oh my God. PA deer, they're lazy. Deer are naturally lazy anyway. That's one thing 100%. To keep in mind. You know, you see a thicket or a timber cut or whatever. All right. Yeah. Think of it like this: where are you going to go? Because that's where that deer is going to go. You know. Yep. We got hogs. We're overran with hogs. Well, them deer are so lazy around, they'll use the same trails the hogs will, and you won't know the difference between tracks. You just have to figure out if it's a deer trail or hog trail. You know.
Right. Exactly. So where can people follow along what's your Instagram and your YouTube channel name?
Well, I let my daughter name my stuff whenever we was making the stuff up, and it's called Life Outdoors 365. Okay. And
it's a good name.
Yeah, we just kind of we was messing around one day when, you know, my wife's the technical guru, so I'm doing good. You know, when it comes to me being a technical guru, it's freaking OnRex or base maps. Other than that, you know, I got to ask her. And she said it out, and she's like, "Well, that's, you know, they talked about it, we talked about it. We just ended up coming up with that name or whatever, and said, oh well, let's go with it."
Yeah.
And but the YouTube channel is Life Outdoors 365, and same thing for the Instagram page.
Okay. Cool.
And I try to put all of our stuff on there, whether it's Canes or Stu's or Tommy's or whatever, you know, anytime I can get something, you know.
Yeah.
Just to share the stories, man. That's all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
We love hearing them.
Yeah. So where is your rutcation going to be happening this year?
This year, I'm going to go right back to Allegheny again. I'm going to go to a little different area, try a little bit different things.
Okay.
It's one of the things that you kind of, when it comes to a spot, I kind of like to go back to back to somewhere. Like, so next year, I probably want to go somewhere different, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if I can get in with somebody or learn something, you know, I want to challenge myself and go out a different element. If I can go to, you know, Kansas or something, that would be cool, you know.
Yep.
But for now, for this year, and I mean, you got to think of it as a non-resident, you know.
Yeah. As
far as over-counter tag system, I mean, it doesn't get any better than PA, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's fairly simple. Fairly simple and fairly cheap.
It is really cheap. It is really cheap.
Oh yeah.
Well, the little doe tagging system y'all got is kind of different. I know y'all was hitting on that one. That's kind of different.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
But it's different everywhere. You know, here they started doing some over the last few years. You know, regulations and stuff pretty good here. Not saying it's good where I'd like it to be, but I mean, here you get 3 buck tags and 3 doe tags a year.
Yeah.
You know, with the purchase of a hunt license. So.
Wow.
You know, I like for them to scale it back again, and you know, PA hasn't always been known to have big deer until, you know, you made all them changes.
Nope. Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely gotten changes, and it's everything's going in the right direction for PA. Put it that way. Really excited to see what the future holds for PA with the buck. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see more 200s come out of PA.
Oh man. And I don't know what I'd do if a 200-inch walks out in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, buddy.
Oh man. Yeah, it would be. I might not even get to shoot that deer. It's a shaking moment type deal.
They'll probably screw it up. More than I'll probably screw it up. But.
Yep. Yeah, man.
And so, if there's one thing I had to say, I wanted to make a point to say this for everybody that's listening and stuff like that. And it'll really change your mindset while you're hunting on any trip, while you're hunting on the weekend, while you're hunting on whether it be a rutcation or nothing.
Yeah.
Is us as hunters, us guys, girls too, whatever. We have got to stop harping each other about what we shoot. And guys, you got to shoot, or you got to harvest what's going to make you happy.
Yep.
You know, if you're on a rut trip and a 100-inch buck walks in front of you and that's going to make you happy, by all means take it. Don't worry about what anybody else is going to think. You
Absolutely.
know, if you go in the mindset of that mentality of not caring what anybody thinks about what you shoot, if you kill anything at all, you'll have a better trip.
Oh yeah.
100%. I mean, I used to put so much pressure on myself. Man, I want to be the one to kill a big buck, or you know, I want somebody in our camp to kill a big buck. I just want to wrap my hands around, you know, some heavy horn antlers.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, just go in there. You're hunting, you're enjoying yourself, and you're not at work. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just
don't shame the game.
Yep. Don't shame the game.
We always say.
Yep.
Oh man, absolutely. But oh
John,
man, PA is a beautiful state. I really enjoy being in PA, man. I really do.
Yeah. PA is freaking beautiful. Hey, next time you come up, let us know. All right.
I will. We'll have to get up. That'd be cool.
Yeah. We'll try and meet up or something like that.
Okay.
All right.
Heck yeah.
Well, John, I want to thank you for coming on here. Thank you for telling us the story about your buck, the rutcation, all the good stuff that we wanted to hear. How you scouted, how you prepared for the rutcation here in PA, out of state from South Carolina. It's been awesome talking to you, man.
Oh man, I appreciate you having me. It's fun. We have to get me again. We'll do some gear talk and all that. You know, we got on broadhead subject. We can get stand subject and all that next.
We can really dive into that one.
Yeah.
We need a whole day podcast. I can really touch on some things.
Yeah. We need a whole day and like 2 cases of beer.
Absolutely. The good old campfire, man, goes a long way.
Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely, man.
So.
Well, hey, thanks again for coming on here.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Y'all good luck.
Hey, you too.
Thanks, man.
All right, thank you.
All right, see ya.